Hello and welcome to another Bernina digitizing video. Thanks to all of you who have subscribed and turned on notifications. I've nearly reached 5,000 subscribers, so thank you very much and thanks for watching. When I went shopping the other day, I became aware that Easter's just around the corner, so I thought I would do an Easter egg themed lesson for you. The techniques I'm going to show you in this lesson can be applied to any of your digitizing projects, but we'll just be doing them in an Easter egg shape so that you can do that now, but then obviously you're going to learn how to do things that you can apply to your other projects. So without further ado, we'll get into it. The first thing you'll need is an Easter egg shape. And for those of you who have the Designer Plus version, you can easily create that in Art Canvas, and I'll show you that shortly. But if you only have the creator level, you'll need to find an Easter egg shape somehow or create one in another drawing program that you can use in your Bernina software. So then you will load the image with this load image here. So you may have an Easter egg shape already in your filed way somewhere in your on your computer that you can load. Just be aware that whatever image you get, it will need to be a bitmap, a JPEG, a PNG, a WMF, EMF, EPS, or a CDR. So if you are downloading an image that's not one of those formats, you'll need some other software to convert it to one of those formats so that you can use it in the Bernina software. If you've got Designer Plus, there's a few other formats you can also use, but in Art Canvas, so you've got a few more options. One of the places you can get good images, I'll just close that, is from Creative Fabrica. It's just one of the many sources on the internet, but I love it because it has commercial licenses for all their products. So I've just opened up my web browser to Creative Fabrica just to give you a look, and I'll have a link below for you to get there. So I've just put in the filter Easter egg, and you can see that there are hundreds and hundreds of assets that you can purchase. They do have a freebie section, but it's not sorted, and you would just have to browse page after page on the off chance that you would come across an Easter egg image. But here's one that's free, and it's a PNG, so you can use it in the software. So I'm just going to quickly click on that now, and I'm going to download it by clicking on the download button. It's as easy as that. So as I said, there is a freebie section which will just have the free things in it, not the paid ones, but there is also, let me just, the free ones are also listed amongst the ones that you can purchase. So I'm just going to put that in my clip art folder under celebrations. I will have to start an Easter folder in here at some stage. Easter egg sublimation. It's an SVG zip, but it's a zip, so obviously it's got other formats because it said PNG on the list. So let's have a look at that. So we'll open my File Explorer, and oh well, actually I can just go to it from the browser, so I can open the folder. Here's this the zip file. I shall right click on that and extract all, and I want it to go to the same place, so I'll just extract it, and it is a PNG file. So if I click on it, I'll have the image. Okay, so I will load that shortly. I'm going to show you both working from an image or creating your own. And so those of you who've got the creator level of the software, I'll tell you to skip forward while we create our shape in Canvas, because you haven't got that. Of course, if you have another drawing program that you're fluent in using, you can create your shape in that. The link to Creative Fabrica is an affiliate link, so I will get a small percentage should you purchase anything from that site. I'll just close that for now and close that for now. And I will close the browser. Let's bring back the software. Okay, and I'll start a new design. So at this point in time, those of you who want to create your own shape in Art Canvas can continue watching, and I'll put a notice on the video here of where the rest of you can jump forward to. Alright, so we're going to go through to Art Canvas. And we're going to create our egg shape. Now, I'm going to start with a circle, because an egg has a fatter bottom at the bottom and a narrower part at the top, but an ellipse would be narrow top and bottom, so it's harder to turn that into an egg. It's very quick if you use the circle, and it is actually the ellipse tool. It's in the flyout menu under the rectangle, so click on the little black arrow in the corner here and you will get your options. Click on the ellipse tool and you have your ellipse tool. Now you're going to left click and drag, but as you can see, if I just left click and drag with the tool, it will create an ellipse. It won't be actually a circle. So in order to make it a circle, you need to hold your control key down. And so I've just pressed my control key down and it immediately became a circle. So now I can release my mouse and release the control key and I have a circle. Now if I go to the reshape tool to change this into, let me just move it down, so I'll select it with my select tool. I've now got the select tool and I'm going to move it down the page to give myself a little bit of room at the top. If I was to go to the reshape tool now, it's a circle, so I've only got one shaping node, and if I left click on that and move it, all it does is change the circle into a segment of a circle. You've got options up here: circle, segment of a circle with it actually with lines. So if I click on that, you'll see it actually puts the lines in to the center point there, or a segment of a circle without those lines. That's not what we want. So I'm going to put full circle again. I click on full circle and it will jump back to the full circle. So in order to be able to change the actual shape into an egg, we need to change the circle to a curve. So we'll get selected again. So we've got our selection handles and we can right click and click on convert to curves at the top here, or it's Control Q on your keyboard. Now if we go to the reshape tool, we've got 4 nodes, one here, one at the bottom and one at the top. If I select the one at the top, by left clicking on it, it will turn blue and its selection handles will show, and the handles of the 2 nodes either side will show. Now I want to move this vertically up. So if I left click and drag, I can move it in any direction, which is not what I want. So I'm going to undo that. In order to maintain a vertical line, you need to hold down your control key. So press your control key, then select the node, and you'll see that if you go sideways, it's actually jumping. So you can actually jump it back to the center position and just raise it up as far as you think you'd like your egg shape to be. Then release your mouse and release your control key and you have an egg shape. Now if I select it again by clicking on the select tool, I can look up here and I can see how wide that outline is. That's important if you want to use the convert tool to convert this to stitches. Now if you convert any image on in Canvas to stitches, you lose the image. So if you want to save this egg shape now, you need to go to File and export it as a vector graphic. If you click on Save or Save As, it's going to save it as an embroidery file, even though it's an image, because we're in Art Canvas, we're not in Corel standalone. So you need to come down to Export, and this dialog will open, and you can give it a name. I'm not going to bother because I've done this before. And I must have had saved something as a PDF last time, so I can go to the drop down menu and I can choose whatever I like here to save it as. Now if you want to save it as a vector graphic so you can use it again in Art Canvas and edit it in Art Canvas, then choose a vector graphic option. If you only think you're going to use it in embroidery canvas, then you could save it as a PNG, JPEG or bitmap. So the vector graphic options are WMF, SVG is a vector graphic. There's quite a few there, but probably SVG might be the best. That's open. You can open that in lots of drawing programs, vector drawing programs. Okay, I'm not going to, as I said, but that option's there. So I'm just going to cancel there. And I'm going to just convert. Now the convert is not available because I haven't got anything selected. So with my select tool, I need to select the object and then I can convert. And I get a running stitch outline because the width of that line back in Art Canvas was only 0.5 points. 0.5 points, hairline, or 0.2 points will give you an outline. And now you can start to play and do all sorts of wonderful things with this. Now I'm going to put a little notice up here for you to skip through to where I start playing with the shape if you don't want to use a downloaded image. Alright, for those of you who have creator level software, you will need to insert the graphic that you've acquired from somewhere, even if you've drawn one on a piece of paper and scanned it in, but let's assume that you got the same one as I did from Creative Fabrica, so I'm going to load the image. So it was in Celebrations, and there it is. Open that folder and click on it and open it. Alright, I'm just going to move that aside. It's got the handles right out here because it does have a background, even though that background is transparent because it's a PNG with a transparent background. I'll just move it over here so it's not near my egg there. Now at this point in time, you should size your image. So at the moment it's 677 millimeters wide and 451 millimeters high, but that actually is referring to this size out here, so it's not very big at all. It's really up to you what size you want to make it, but I always advise size your graphic first. It's not so bad if you make a running stitch outline because that will resize really easily, and that might be a good place to start. So without sizing it, we'll make a running stitch outline just as I did for the people with Art Canvas, and then we can resize that. So while we've got our image selected, we'll go to our auto digitizing, and I'm going to use the magic wand because I want to try and just get that black outline, although it is quite thick, so I might actually try to just do the pink. So I don't want these spots, so I'm actually going to try magic wand with fill without holes. So left clicking on that, and I'll come over, and it's not, I've clicked on the image and it will open the prepare bitmap image, and it looks pretty good to me. It's got a clear background. It's got all these different colours. I could merge these into the dark pink, but it's easier just to use the fill without holes, which will fill those in for us. So I'm just going to go OK there. And now you can see that if I hover over the image, I can select that dark pink and left click on it. And it has created me an object with of just fill in an egg shape. I can then select that object. I'm going to actually hide that image so it's not there and you can just see the embroidery. I'm going to select that object and I'm going to come down here to my outlines and change it to an outline. Okay, so with a running stitch outline, resizing's not a big issue either. So you can now choose to resize this to whatever size you want your project. Likewise, people who created their egg shape in Art Canvas can resize their image to whatever size they want to work with. I'm going to work with this pink one, so I'm just going to delete this one that I created in Art Canvas now. So we've got to the same point. We've all got an outline of an egg and we're now choosing the size for our project. So if I select that object, I can come up here and have a look at what size it is. It's 311 millimeters high, nearly 312. That's very big. So I want to fit it. Maybe a lot of you have 100 by 100 hoops if you don't have a Bernina machine, or you might have 130, but let's stick below 100 millimeters. Which is 4 inches. Let's stick below that so that we can fit it in a small hoop if we need to. So I'm going to make sure my lock's locked and change this to, I'm going to change it to 90 millimeters, because if we decide to do an applique, we're going to have a wider border and that will make it actually a little bit bigger. So once you've typed in 90 height, you can hit enter. And we've resized. So now you can do whatever you like with this egg, and even if you didn't get the egg from Creative Fabrica, it's worth going to have a look, because if I bring that back again, we've got so much inspiration here of what we can do with this egg. I'll just go back to the top. We don't just have to have a solid egg of one colour. We can add some different shapes in it. These ones here have a bow on them. We can make the shapes different colours. We can put different fills in our egg. You can get very elaborate here. Let's scroll down a bit further. These ones have ears on them. So it depends how good you are at drawing, or perhaps you download this image with the ears on. This is actually an embroidery you can purchase that is in the Easter egg shape. And look how beautiful that is with all those scrolls and swirls. You could create something similar in your software. There's another embroidery here somewhere too, I believe. Probably won't be able to find it now. But you could go to the embroidery tab if you want to have a look at actual embroideries of Easter eggs. You could come here to the embroidery designs tag, and then holidays and celebrations and Easter. Let's have a look there. Okay, so we've got lots of embroidery designs we could choose from, but we could also get inspiration from them as well. Here's some little chickens made out of the Easter egg. All right, so let's come back to the software and start making some Easter egg patterns. And I'm actually going to go back to the creator level of the software now, so that I don't use any tools that creator level haven't got for a while, and then at the end, or maybe in the next video, I will put in some techniques that you can do in Designer Plus only. So here we are back in the creator level of the software, and the first really quick thing you can do is go to your applique toolbox and click on convert to applique, and it will give you your default applique settings of a placement line, a tack down line, and a cover stitch, satin cover stitch. And of course we know that if we select that and right click on it and go to the object properties, we can change any of those options in there. So I've done a video on applique before, so go back and watch that so that you can see all the details you can do there. But for instance, we could have a fabric in there, and let's just choose colours for the moment and go OK and apply that. So now we've got the fabric in there showing. It doesn't really do anything as far as the digitizing goes, but it does show you that there's fabric in there. Now also, I have covered this before, but if you want to put stitching below the cover stitch but on top of the fabric, then you need to break your applique apart. So while it's selected, now we have the break apart tool in the applique toolbox, so we don't have to go searching for that. So now we've got separate objects. Now we can actually duplicate that placement line, and that will go to the bottom of the colour film, and we can change that to a fill stitch. Let's just use a pattern fill, and we can move that up to, I didn't choose a very good colour fabric, did I? Well, we can move that up one object now because it's broken apart, and that will now stitch before the cover stitch. Unfortunately, if you're showing the fabric, it covers the stitches in the software, and that's not how it's going to stitch, because you'll place your fabric back here and you'll stitch your decorative stitch here. So let's just hide the fabric. You can do that here, and then you can see what your stitches are. So straight away we're getting a lovely option here for the egg. Now you might not want it as an applique, but you might still want a satin outline. That's fine. In other words, don't convert it to an applique, but if I go back to our original line here, while you've got it selected, you can just change it to a satin outline. And then you could duplicate that and put any of the fill stitches in. Now I've covered pattern fill already, so you can go and watch that video and see all the options you have for the different patterns you could put in there. Alright, and now another thing you could do is change it to a fill. It's just a step fill, but that's a really big object to fill with the one solid pattern fill. So I wouldn't advise that. I would shrink that down, and for smaller eggs you could have a complete step fill. But what you can do is duplicate that. So if I right click on it, I can duplicate and change the colour. So let's choose a colour that goes with pink. Let's just go up to the other colours. Let's use a turquoise. And let's use our knife tool to cut a shape in that. So edit, toolbox, knife tool, and we can cut a zigzaggy shape. Just a random zigzaggy shape. Enter. Now we've got two, if we go to individual objects here, we've got two shapes here plus some sort of running stitch here. So I don't think we need that running stitch. We'll delete that. And let's say let's decide what we want to keep, the top or the bottom. I'm going to keep the bottom, so I'm going to delete the top, and I'm going to click on the bottom and go to your edit toolbox and click on remove overlaps. Now it did have a margin, that left a band of stitching around the bottom. If I hide the bottom for a minute, so I'll just hide that, you can see because it had a margin, it left this band of stitching here. Remove overlaps. If we go up here to our options, hammer and spanner, and click on that and click on the remove overlaps tool, the remove overlaps leaves a 1mm margin by default. You can change this to less or more, 1.5, but remember to put it back when you finish, because it doesn't default back to the 1mm in a new design. So you must remember to put it back after you finish, but I'm just going to leave it at the default for now and actually use my knife tool to cut off these bits I don't want. So click on the knife tool, and I didn't have it selected, so I'll escape. You must have it selected. Now I'll click on the knife tool, and now I've got a pink line. You won't be able to see it because it is pink around the whole object, so I can zoom in. You might be able to see it more clearly now. So I'm going to left click here and left click there and enter, and because I was zoomed in, I'll do it as two separate cuts, but you could use one cut if you digitized around the open space. Enter, and now we can delete that bit we don't want, and we can delete that bit we don't want, and we can select this top bit and go to our reshape and tidy up our nodes here. So that's not too bad. We've got two nodes there, we only need one, so let's take the bottom one out, select it by clicking on it and hit the delete button, and that gives us a nice smooth line across there. Over this side again we've got two nodes, so let's keep the bottom one and delete the top one. Doesn't really matter, they're so close together, but that gives us a nice straight line across here to give us a nice neat cut on our egg. Now we can show our bottom again, and if we go in we can see, if we go out of true view, that there is a 1mm overlap here, plus the pull compensation. And because we auto digitized this, the pull compensation is actually 0.4 millimeters. So it's a generous pull compensation, plus we've got the remove overlaps, so there shouldn't be a gap. However, we've still got two very large objects that are going to stitch out. If I put my grid on, you can see that they are quite big areas, so you might want to cut this up even more into smaller areas. So if I undo all that, back to our fill stitch, get rid of the grid and bring it back to true view, and I've still got two, so I'll just move the copy over here and we'll cut this one up. So we can use our knife tool with curved nodes too by right clicking, and if we put a curved line around, we're going to get a more rounded looking pattern on our egg. So I'm going to cut the top off, so I'll hit enter, and then I'm going to make another cut with my knife tool. Sorry, I only wanted to select that one, so I'll just select the bottom half and get my knife tool. Right, now I'm only cutting this one. Enter, and we could remove that stripe. We have got a travel stitch there. If you don't want that there, if you want to leave the fabric blank, then delete that. You could then put some dots around here, so you could create a digitize an ellipse. We'll make it a circle. And then we can right click on the, escape out of the tool. So get your select tool and right click and drag a copy. And you could arrange these around your egg. And so you're breaking up that big area. Okay. I'm going to select this part here and turn it into an outline. Just so I've got some sort of guide there. You would have to align these a bit better. I didn't really do it all that well, but just take your time to get these to look nice. You could even select this bottom part and go to your edit toolbox and do an offset of, let's measure, I'll put my grid on so I can't, hang on, cancel out of that. Put my grid on so I can see. I want about a 5mm offset so I can get an outline to follow with my dots. So I'll get rid of the grid again. I'll select this one and go to the outlines and offsets and deselect the outline, choose the offset outline, make it 5mm, and I only want one. And I just want a single one, and I'm only selecting this object, so I don't need to worry about multiple objects. I will put the sharp corners, and there's no holes, so I don't want to include holes anyway. Okay, so now I've got a nice line I can use to center these dots on and space them. Because it's a curve, I can't use the any space evenly tools, but you can get a pretty good arrangement by eye. That just helps you keep them fairly even. And then you can delete your green offset. So I'll click off, select the green and delete it. Okay, you could use your zigzag or your stem stitch or your triple outline to create lines across here too. I will be doing some fancy pattern outlines in Designer Plus, but you don't have that option. But you could use your blanket stitch, and you could before we do that, let's select that again and we'll do an offset, but we'll do it as a negative number this time, and I think I'll make it -7mm and go OK. And now I've got a line to follow here, so I could take my zigzag, for instance, and digitize an open object, select my zigzag after I've clicked open object, and I could use my eye again, but just follow this line around here. Enter. For some reason the zigzag has an underlay and it's not necessary, it just looks awful, so I need to select that zigzag and remove the underlay. Okay, and you could do multiple rows of that. You could just right click that and move it down. It won't be quite long enough, but what you could do then after you've moved them all down, let's make a whole lot of rows. It gets long enough again then. Alright, so we could then go to our Arrange tab, so I'll click off, go to the Arrange tab, and we need to select all of those. and I would align centers vertically and then space evenly down, and that will make all of these evenly spaced. I'll get rid of that green offset, so that's this one does still look closer, but it could be an optical illusion. So then you can just go into the reshape tool for the ones you need to. So let's select this first one and reshape, because it's when they aligned it moved across a bit. So I just want to move, sorry, I need to get the crosshairs, move that node out to the edge and move this node back in a bit. Right, and now if I use my tab button I can do the same. Just line those up. Now of course these ones are too long, so I'm just going to come back to here and back to here and tab and bring this one all the way back to there, but I've got an extra curved node in there. Just a moment and I'll delete, won't delete that one, I'll move that one down to inside the egg and then move this one across, and that one's inside the egg, so that's alright. We can move this one down to there. Select and click off. Now you'll see that they do jag outside the edge, so it may be more desirable to have this single outline as a satin, and of course move our zigzags to below the satin or the satin to the bottom, whichever suits the most. Okay, so now our areas are much smaller, our stitching areas. Because we made this satin, these dots are probably a little bit close to the edge, so we might want to move those up a little bit as a group. Let's just get them all. Sorry, that one. And we can use the arrow on our keyboard, which will keep it aligned, and just press it a couple of times till they move up to where you're happy. Okay, now even though we took the underlay off, we have got a travel under here, and that's because of the start and end points. So we can, if you like it, you can leave it there, but if you just want zigzag, you can left click and go to your reshape tool, and you can see that the start and end points are both at the one end. So hover over the green triangle, a diamond I should say, till you see the hand appear, then left click and drag that up to the other end, and that will get rid of the first one. Now it would be good if you could do this zigzag and then travel down to this zigzag here. So we can use our travel toolbar to insert little travel runs, and we can get rid of a lot of jump stitches. If I go out of true view, we've got jump stitches from the end of this one to the start of this one and so on. They're all over the place at the moment because all the start and end points are up this end. So I'll just go back into true view. Actually, I won't. I'll stay out of true view because I'm going to go to the travel toolbar, and I've done this before too. So we're going to travel to the beginning of the design by clicking on the tulip here and then the back arrow. Everything will go black. Now we're going to choose object by object, so we're going to go forward with the forward arrow. So we choose the object by jump by object, and then forward, 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 till we've done all these objects, and we've done the first zigzag. Now this one's starting here. Even though you're in the travel toolbar, you can still select objects. So I can select this object here because I want to fix the start and end points first. So we'll go to the reshape tool and we want to, this time we want to start at this end and end up at the other end. Okay, that's got rid of that travel run. Now we've got this long jump stitch going to the next one. We'll worry about that in a moment. But we've now got a jump stitch from the end of this one to the start of this one. So we need to travel. I'll just shift tab to get back to this one and move that end right to the end. That's better. Now zoom in, and I need to go click off so nothing's selected and find my white cross. So it's stitched right through to the end of this one because I've been fiddling around. So I need to go back one object, and now we're at the end of that first zigzag. We can add our travel run in. So digitize, single outline, open object, and we've got the right color. So we just go from our cross to our circle and enter. So that's called pathing. If you haven't watched my pathing video, I suggest you go and do that. You can then move forward and you could add your path in here, making sure your start and end points are at the right place, and so on. So I'll just do all that quickly and show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. I've still got a few more things I can do in the creator level with the egg. Well, there's lots of things, I could go on forever, but there's a few more things I'd like to show you, and then I will move over to the Designer Plus level. So make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on so you can watch this whole series. Thank you very much.